The film begins with a businessman working in the office until late. Suddenly, he feels pain in his chest. He drinks water from the cooler, but that's not the cure for a heart attack. The dealer falls dead in a deserted office. Only his photo on the wall as the best employee of the year looks indifferently at the unfolding tragedy. The train rushes through the picturesque landscapes of the Swiss Alps. He takes the main character, aspiring financier Lockhart, on a business trip. The young man throws himself on nicotine gum and does not get off the phone, doing business and money. The trip is interrupted by a flashback. Lockhart is moving to a new office. His superiors appreciate him. When a young man is called upstairs, he is full of optimism. However, the board of directors shows him a strange letter from the general director of Pembroke, who went to an alpine sanatorium and from there sent a notice that he was quitting business. But the fact is that his signature is extremely important for the deal being prepared. Lockhart is sent on a business trip to find and bring the general director to New York. Thus, he will make amends for financial fraud, otherwise he will go to prison. Before leaving, he visits his mother in a nursing home. She gives him a handmade figurine of a ballerina as a souvenir and says goodbye to her son, confident that he will not return. Lockhart is driven along a winding road past a village at the foot of a mountain, at the top of which a sanatorium can be seen. The driver tells the legend that once there stood the castle of a baron obsessed with the purity of blood. The peasants burned the estate when he decided to marry his own sister. They enter the territory. A young businessman sees old men in white clothes having fun in the fresh air. Lockhart asks to wait, and he goes to the reception area. Visits are closed for today, and then Yuppie asks to call the administrator. While waiting, the young man tries to call the office, but there is no connection here. He wanders along the green lawn, where he notices a ventilation window into the basement in the wall of the ancient chapel. While talking with the administrator, the young man notices an old photo from the counter of a sanatorium on the site of a burnt castle. The doctor treats him to local miraculous water, while at the same time pouring him vitamins for blue bottles. The administrator suggests visiting in the evening, when Pembroke's procedures are completed. The hero has no choice but to return to the car. On his way out, he notices a girl in a blue dress on the fortress wall. On the way back, a natural deer crashes into the car, causing an accident. Lockhart loses consciousness and comes to his senses in the sanatorium room. He is greeted by leg plaster and Dr. Heinrich Vollmer. The doctor reports that he reported to the young man's superiors about unforeseen circumstances, and he himself will have to spend several days in the sanatorium. The main thing is to drink plenty of water so that acclimatization is successful. After the conversation, Lockhart, standing at the window, watches how the window at the base of the chapel is being sealed. Then he drains a glass of water and notices a small speck on the glass, which turns out to be some kind of insect. The young man wanders around the building, watching his patients, under the supervision of staff, engage in various water procedures. Soon he himself is invited to steam baths. In a sauna full of steam, Lockhart, at some point, gets lost and discovers that the passage behind him has disappeared. He finds himself in a closed room with no exit, but a few moments later he sees a corridor at the end of which a deer flashes. He goes there and finds Pembroke. The purpose of your visit. The old man refuses to return to the city for business. He talks about the need to cleanse himself and then remembers the young man's father. They started together before throwing him. Suddenly, the old man agrees to return home for a few days. Lockhart asks the receptionist to call a taxi. He waits outside, where Mrs. Watkins approaches him. Big fan of riddles. She studies the history of the place, as well as local legends. The hero sees a girl in a blue dress. Her name is Hannah, and she is a special patient. Lockhart admits that he will be leaving soon. Why is she surprised? Why leave here? Beautiful landscapes make guys think about it. Upon returning, Lockhart cannot find Pembroke. In the dining room, where the patients are with Dr. Vollmer, the doctor admits that he felt sick after talking about work, and he was sent for special procedures. The young man breaks into a scream, but suddenly his nose bleeds, and he falls unconscious. Vollmer examines him in his office. Lockhart, at such a young age, already needs special care. The yuppie agrees to the doctor's proposal, but as soon as he leaves, the guy steals Pembroke's medical card. While donating urine, Lockhart notices that in one test tube, in addition to liquid, there is something foreign that looks like a parasite. Lockhart is placed in a sensory deprivation chamber. He is warned that the lack of stimuli may lead to hallucinations. The hero, floating in the liquid, remembers his childhood, but suddenly notices a lot of eels. He tries to reach the nurse, but he is distracted by the nurse. While trying to surface, Lockhart loses his oxygen hose and suffocates in the water, unable to open the lid. As his pulse drops, his father's death flashes before him. He stopped the car with his son right on the bridge, went out onto the road, and jumped over the railing. The orderly pumps Lockhart out. They inspect the camera. There are no eels inside. In the ward, the hero looks through the anomaly from Pembroke and notices oddities with the jaws. He is distracted by a strange noise from the bathroom. The handle of the drain barrel jerks randomly. Approaching the toilet, the young man notices a worker rolling a cart with a body into the chapel. The next morning, he talks with Mrs. Watkins. She says that the villagers did not burn down the castle because of Jaime Lannister cosplays. The reason was medical experiments, for the sake of which the Baron kidnapped people. Their dry corpses were found in arable fields. Lockhart suspects that the Baron was looking for medicine for his wife. The ladies are taken away for procedures. The young man examines the door in the tower, but is driven away by a worker. Noticing Hannah, the hero goes to her. He asks for a ride on a bicycle to the village, giving in exchange a memorable figurine of a ballerina received from his mother just before her death. The two of them go down the mountain to the village. Lockhart leaves the girl alone in the pub, and he goes to the veterinarian opposite to consult about the Pembroke. The result turns out to be interesting. Despite the abundance of drinking in the sanatorium, tooth loss is associated with dehydration. The bestial doctor also complements the legend. The Baron's sister was barren. Every attempt to conceive resulted in a miscarriage of a deformed fetus. At the end of the conversation, the veterinarian rips open the belly of a deer that drank water from a spring in the mountains. Its guts are full of live eels. At the pub, Lockhart calls the office. It turns out that the doctor did not warn anyone about the accident. The hero wants to talk to Hannah about what is happening at the sanatorium, but a local punk has already had his eye on her. A fight ensues, which is interrupted by the appearance of Dr. Vollmer. He takes the fugitives back. In Hannah's room, they almost fight. The girl feels pain in her stomach, but the doctor promises to cure her. Lockhart dreams of Hannah naked in a bathtub full of live eels. He wakes up in a nightmare and sees a worker rolling an empty gurney out of the basement. At the mirror, the businessman notices how the tooth is loose and easily comes off. He goes to the reception to report this. But when a nurse leaves, she sees Pembroke's current location on the appointment list, the one in the transfusion wing. The hero goes there, trying not to catch the eye of the staff. There is a gurney with a body near the elevator. The lying old man suddenly opens his eyes and screams. This helps distract the orderlies from the elevator. And while they're examining the Ewan's cry, Lockhart makes his way into the cabin and goes down below. He finds several rooms with pressure chambers. In another room, Mrs. Watkins is lying on a gurney. She reveals that she left clues for Lockhart. It also turns out that the Baroness was pregnant, but the crowd cut the raft from her womb and threw it into the lake. However, the baby survived. The guy notices parasites under the woman's skin and recoils in horror, dropping the metal cabinet. The orderlies run towards the noise, from whom he hides behind one of the countless doors. There are many water tanks in which people swim, including CEO Pembroke. In anger, Lockhart tries to break the glass, but nothing works. He runs up the stairs, but runs into the orderlies and Dr. Vollmer. The doctors drag him to the dentist's office to check what's wrong with the tooth. Clamps are placed on Lockhart, and then the front tooth is drilled out. God knows how, getting out of the chair, the guy climbs into the car that brought the next patient and asks to take him away urgently. They go to the police station, where Lockhart claims illegal experiments. But when the government official leaves, the hero sees the signature blue bottle of medicine in the closet. The policeman returns to the office with Dr. Vollmer, who calls Lockhart a patient suffering from hallucinations and aggressive behavior. Pembroke appears next, confirming that the young man threatened him. The fact that the old man is alive unsettles Lockhart. He doubts his own sanity and returns to the boarding house. In the morning, he sits in the room at the table in front of Mrs. Watkins' notes. His attention is drawn to the sound of the drain barrel twitching. Taking off the lid, he sees a lot of eels inside, but a second later, they disappeared, as if they had gone down the drain. Lockhart breaks open the toilet to check, but the eels never return. The hero writes a letter to the board of directors similar to what Pembroke wrote earlier. Then he goes through a series of procedures. But at some point, the guy breaks a glass of water and cuts the plaster with a fragment. There's nothing wrong with my leg. It's not broken like the doctor said. It was just a trick. Having demolished the castle, he climbs into the basement with a shovel at the ready. Inside, there is an underground lake and an ancient laboratory. It contains cut and preserved eels, many records, deformed human fetuses, as well as skin taken from someone's face. There's also a peculiar altar with a portrait of the Baroness, who is very similar to Hannah, only a little older. Going lower, Lockhart sees a gurney with a body. Under the sheet is the deceased Mrs. Watkins. A worker is coming from above. Hiding, the guy witnesses how he throws the corpse into the lake, where eels rush at him. A fight breaks out between the worker and the hero. Lockhart smashes his opponent's head with a brick and escapes. Frightened Hannah, not understanding what is happening, goes to the dining room to see Dr. Vollmer. Seeing blood on the dress, he, in turn, rejoices. Lockhart appears and orders her to be released. The doctor tries to come to an agreement, but the young man makes a speech to the patients that they are being deceived here and poisoned with incomprehensible water. The old people rise from their seats, but not at all to protest. Instead, they grab the impudent young man. Lockhart is taken down to the transfusion wing, where he is placed in a pressure chamber. Vollmer explains that the water in the lake allows eels to live tens of times longer than their species lives under normal conditions. But it is toxic to humans if it is not filtered first, and human bodies serve as filters from which the mysterious blue drugs are evaporated. This is what helped locals live for many years. Later, the doctor tells Hannah that she has changed from a girl to a woman. She goes to the Lockhart sitting on a bench outside and returns the ballerina, saying that he was in vain to give her hope that she could leave here. After all, the doctor will never let her go. And the young man suddenly stopped understanding why he should leave here at all, because it is so beautiful here. In the evening, dozens of sanatorium and village employees arrange a wedding ceremony for the doctor and Hannah. Vollmer leads the girl to an underground lake where there is a laboratory, an altar, and a bed. Here, they must conceive a child. Hannah refuses, but the man ties her up. In retaliation, the girl slaps him in the face, causing the skin on his forehead to split open. Lockhart, losing the ballerina in his hands, comes out of a state of deliria, clouding of reason. Comparing the words of the late Mrs. Watkins, he breaks the glass in the administrator's office with a photograph from 100 years ago, from the time the boarding house was built. There, a man with a bandaged head is holding the hand of a little girl in a light dress. Realizing that the doctor is the Baron who discovered the cure for aging, and Hannah is his daughter. The hero runs into the dungeon, where he spills gasoline. The Baron tries to stop him. He even removes the leather mask from his face, revealing a green, burnt mess. But Lockhart starts the fire anyway. Sparks enter the ventilation system and set fire to the curtains in the hall, where the medical staff is throwing a ball in honor of the wedding ceremony. A fight ensues, and the man almost feeds the young man to the Griami when the girl appears. With a powerful blow, she thrusts the shovel into her father's disfigured face. Having emerged from the dungeon, Lockhart and Hannah admire the fire, against which the patients continue to dance. Leaving a building engulfed in flames behind, they ride away on a bicycle, but crash into a car as they turn a corner. Inside are members of the board of directors. Lockhart doesn't listen to their orders. Instead, he gets back on his bike and rides off with a 200-year-old girl, smiling like crazy.